One. Video two.
Video two. Hello, everybody, and welcome to... No, start again.
Take three.
4.
Take 4.
Ready? Hello, everybody, and welcome to video number 2 of the Benguela Videologue. I've forgotten all my lines. Today is very exciting for us because today you get to meet the team. Our first of which is Catherine Brown. Say hello, Catherine.
Hello, Catherine.
Would you like to tell the people what you do?
So I am the team. My name is Catherine Brown, and I've been working with Dairy and Benguela Health for the last couple of years. And my official title is the Managing Director. And what my role entails is being able to make the big announcements like we're making today. We promised last week that we had a big announcement to make, and here it comes. I'm delegating it to Dairy.
Well, thank you, Catherine, for that. Let me look at my lines quickly and try to remember what it is. I don't need to remember because she's standing right next to me. Irene, would you like to come in?
I certainly would. Thank you.
So, for those of you who have been around for a while will know very well the lady to my left, who was part of our big announcement, which is, of course, that IHRM joined the Benguela family in April of this year. We are massively excited. We're very happy to have you, Irene. I hope you've felt welcome.
Very welcome and very pleased to be part of the Benguela family.
And we're happy to have you. Would you like to tell the people who you are and what you do?
I certainly would. I've been managing the Institute of Health Risk Managers for the past 15 years, focusing on training problems for the health programs. For the
Problems.
Actually, both. Problems and programs.
Sorry, guys.
Carry on.
Programs for the healthcare industry. I'm very pleased to be joining the Benguela family and am looking forward to new projects and programs that we will be offering as a joint venture. Also, that we invite you to please attend our webinar on the 24th of November. It is a free webinar to thank you for your support during the year. It's on the CMS annual report, highlights and insights, and Dairy and I will be presenting on this.
You said it's free.
Mm-hmm. I did.
There we are. We're giving away free stuff now. Yeah, and if you need to find out anything else on IHRM, what is it, Irene?
It is.
ihrm.co.za. Simple as
Absolutely.
that, yeah? Go
Please
check it
go.
out. Yeah?
Please go to the website.
Yeah, cool. And is that it? We're done. We're actually still recording, which is great. Yay! Now we can get on with video 2. Hold on. Ah, new lights, as promised. Background, still pending. Now where were we? Like any good installment in a long-running franchise, we wanted to end our first episode with a bit of a cliffhanger. We took a look at, or a high-level look at the medical schemes industry, and we found it to be in fairly rough shape, but left some questions out there regarding the state of the individual medical schemes themselves. So today, in our second installment in building the Benguela cinematic universe, I want to take a look at some of the key metrics that give us a great view into how the individual medical schemes are actually performing. Some of you may be surprised by this, but there are actually only 4 primary indicators that we look at when trying to determine the performance of a scheme. Now, there are secondary and tertiary indicators, but mostly they're there to confirm or add weight to the first 4. So here they are in order of importance. Number 1 is the size of the medical scheme, or how many people are actually members of that medical scheme. Size brings with it 2 benefits. The first is simply it's a wider pool of people to spread your claims risk around. But secondly, and arguably more importantly, is that it gives the scheme leverage. Number 2 is the growth of the medical scheme. Now, this should come as no surprise as we ended our last video on the importance of new members into the medical schemes industry. That new members are like oxygen to you and I, and without new members, a medical scheme simply ages and dies. a la our friends at Health Squared. But it's also important to note that what we're not saying is that a medical scheme mustn't age. That's impossible. All medical schemes will age. What we're looking for is the rate at which a scheme ages. Is it controlled or is it rapid? That brings us neatly onto number 3, the average age and pensioner ratio of a medical scheme. It may seem somewhat ageist, but we can't escape the statistical fact that older populations require more care, more frequently, and in increasingly expensive settings. It therefore stands to reason that medical schemes with older populations are exposed to these higher costs, and in turn their members are exposed to the higher contributions to pay for those costs. And that eventually brings us on to metric number 4, the claims ratio of the medical scheme. So with our 4 metrics set out, it is time once again to look at some pictures. So metric number 1, the size of medical schemes, and here they are. Here's our top open medical schemes by principal lives as at the end of 2021. Well, the top 10 plus HOSMED, who were still in the report, so we've put them in there because the numbers aren't reflecting in CSWA yet. So I guess the picture here is quite obvious. Discovery absolutely dominating the open medical scheme market, and though most people know that Discovery is the largest, they often don't know by how much. In fact, you could take all of these schemes and merge them into one, and they still only come to less than half of Discovery's membership. And this, of course, gives Discovery a massive advantage in terms of leverage and economies of scale. Simply put, they have a better chance of having the best purchase price for healthcare, and certainly a better purchase price than any one of these guys here, right? Doing what I guess their members would want them to do. However, nobody here has really had it their own way for the last 5 years. So while Discovery is certainly the largest by some measure, they have not grown for the last 5 years, and neither has anybody else. We have a complete flattening of membership, and this is quite a stark contrast to what we saw. Hopefully it pops up here, to the 5 years prior. Look at Discovery then. If we look at the restricted schemes for this last period, however, it seems slightly better than the open schemes, where GEMS, right, has kind of picked up the mantle from Discovery and said, thanks very much, we'll take it from here. And they've gone to their government departments and dug deep and managed to find those few extra lives that still hadn't been coaxed by the very generous subsidy that they get. And yeah, are the only scheme really growing by any measure. But when you consider that the industry as a whole had pretty much no growth over the last 2 years, any growth at all could probably be chalked up just to GEMS. And this flattening of growth, this kind of stagnation that we've seen, generally only leads to one thing. And not generally, will only lead to one thing, and I'm pretty sure that you've guessed it. Yeah, it's our metric number 3, which would be the average age of the scheme. So this colorful little graph here is a representation of each of the average age of all beneficiaries within a medical scheme. So that's all the lives that belong to the medical scheme, which is why this number is typically quite low. The first thing you notice is nice yellow line across it. So that is the average age of the industry. I think it's about 33.7 years of age. So when looking at a medical scheme, essentially what you want to see with regards to its average age is anything as close as possible to this line, ideally under it, but somewhere within the approximate region of this line, and certainly not a move away from it, as we're starting to see almost across the board. The real problem child here, I guess, is Fed Health, right? With probably a pattern that you never want to see within a scheme. That is, yes, it's aging, but is getting to a point that is significantly far removed from the average. Yes, you can argue Key Health is much older as a scheme, but is managing to bring that down. Now, I'm not sure how they're managing to bring that down, because I'm not sure whether Key Health is suddenly attracting lots of young guys to bring this average age down. But something is happening there, and that is moving in the right direction. But Fed Health is unfortunately the opposite of that, and that's not something that we would like to see. CSWA and HOSMED, by far the youngest, and I guess that's why CSWA has become the scheme of choice for any kind of orphan kids out there. So it's where quite a few Health Squared members have ended up, and where HostMed is now. And I think it's largely because maybe there's a view that there's some headroom there and that they're able to absorb a higher average age scheme than normal. How true that is, I'm not too sure. But yeah, certainly it would have a concern there. But the other thing that you need to look at is not just the average age. What you actually want to know in tandem with this is then how much of the membership sits in the very high risk group. And yeah, you might throw an ageist stick at me, but that's what we call our pensioners, or at least people 65 years and older. We look at this largely because it's kind of the cutoff point where we know that where the largest proportion of claims sit. You know, the pensioner profile of a medical scheme. So generally, if for the population 70 and above, could be responsible for anywhere between 60 to 75% of the claims within a medical scheme. So even a 1% shift in your pensioner profile can have a massive influence on the claims profile of the scheme. And you'll see here, let me just quickly move that over there. And you'll see, if I zoom out, yeah, this picture kind of closely follows this one. It's probably the same graph drawn a different way, but we are definitely looking at different things. But so here's the kind of the three young guns over there, and then we have kind of the big towers over there. But then, yeah, have a look at Key Health. So although, yes, they're bringing this down, and they are bringing this pensioner profile down, it is very, very high. But Fed Health moving in the opposite direction. Right? So as a 2021, moving close to 20% pensioners, and with that average age, that is a concern. And it's a concern largely because an increasing average age will have an effect on, yes, it's our last metric, which is the claims ratio of the scheme. And you can see the industry as a whole not having a great time, even Discovery having kind of a slowly increasing claims ratio well over 90. In fact, if you look at most of the schemes are sitting at 90 and above. MedShield starting off at one of the highest, but thankfully managing to bring their claims experience or the claims ratios down, and that's something hopefully that they continue with. But yeah, Fed Health, unfortunately, just going in the wrong direction. This is not surprising given all the other metrics that we see, particularly with the age, no growth of a scheme, rapid aging of the scheme, unfortunately, is going to lead to one thing. Here's the weird thing, though. Here's CSWA and HostMed. CSWA, again, easily by far the youngest, but yeah, some horrific numbers in terms of claims ratios, probably coming out of a very generous benefit set, some possible underpricing within the scheme, and maybe some managed care or risk management that might be a little bit lax. And I'd be interested to see how this scheme manages the HostMed membership, what the result of these two will be, because yeah, HostMed essentially looking very similar to Fed Health over there. And yes, it's a younger membership, and you have to ask the question, why is a young membership behaving in this way? So that's more of a management issue. This is definitely a demographic issue. This is harder to fix. The only way to fix this is to get a lot of young new lives, and I don't see where that's going to come for Fed Health. And that's it. Those are our 4 metrics. The only things you need to know if you want to know whether a scheme is doing well or not. Right, and now I'm going to try and do this ending in one take because this is quite important to us. But, and excuse me while I look at my screen here, but I would like to put out a massive thanks to everybody who viewed and commented on our first video on LinkedIn. We are blown away completely. And a really big special shout out and thank you to those who left comments and engaged with us. There was some fantastic ideas. And then finally, just a reminder to pick up, we have our free webinar on Thursday, the 24th. So anybody is welcome. Please go to ihrm.co.za. Go register yourself there. Myself and Irene are going to have a bit of fun. We're going to be going through the council's report and just digging up some significant facts and going through what we think is important things that you should pay attention to, and maybe some things that you shouldn't. But we're really looking forward to, and we can't wait to see you there. Until then, look after yourselves. Be good. Bye bye.